Months passed, and the social enterprise took off. I hired staff, created programs for housing, job training, and mentorship, and watched lives transform. People who had once been struggling like me now had real hope and opportunities. I still think about the streets sometimes, about the fear, the hunger, the hopeless nights. But now, I also think about the moments that changed everything: a $20 bill, a stranger's kindness, and the courage to help others even when I had nothing. Mr. Black occasionally checks in, always reminding me to stay grounded. He taught me that wealth isn't just money, it's the ability to impact lives positively, and I carry that lesson every day. I've learned that sudden events, unexpected challenges, and life-altering choices define who we are. From homeless to CEO, my life is unrecognizable, but every hardship, every struggle, led me here. Helping others not only changed their lives, it saved mine. A few days later, Mr. Black called me to his office one last time. I was nervous, unsure what he had planned. He looked at me and said, "You've proven more than just resilience or intelligence. You've shown compassion, courage, and integrity. Now it's time for your life to truly change." He handed me a contract, one that would officially make me the founder and CEO of a fully funded social enterprise, aimed at helping homeless people like me rebuild their lives. It wasn't just money, it was mentorship, resources, and the freedom to make a real impact. I couldn't speak. Tears filled my eyes. After years of struggle, of being ignored and overlooked, I finally had a chance to turn my own life around and help others do the same. Mr. Black smiled and said, "This is what happens when someone chooses kindness, courage, and integrity over fear. Your past doesn't define you, your actions do." It was surreal. My life had gone from streets to boardrooms, from survival to purpose, in ways I never imagined. Just when I thought things were settling, I received an anonymous message late at night. "Stop helping them, or you'll regret it." My heart sank. Who could it be? Was it someone from my past? A rival investor? Or someone upset with the shelter efforts? The next morning, I arrived at the shelter to find vandalism, broken windows, scattered belongings, and scared residents huddled in corners. Panic surged through me, but I stayed calm, helping everyone get to safety. I called Mr. Black and explained everything. He didn't panic. Instead, he said, "This is when you learn the difference between fear and courage. You decide whether to give up or stand tall." I decided then, I would not back down. If helping others meant facing danger or threats, then I would face them. That night taught me a new kind of strength, the resilience that went beyond business or survival. Little did I know, the final days of this journey would bring a life-changing reward that I never expected. As the business started gaining traction, I received news that shook me to the core. One of the shelters where I used to stay was about to close, leaving dozens of people, including some I had grown close to, completely homeless. I had an opportunity to invest my time, resources, and some of my new capital to help them. But doing so meant risking delays in launching my business and potentially upsetting Mr. Black, who had high expectations. I spent a sleepless night weighing my options. My old life reminded me of the struggles I faced, the faces of those still suffering on the streets. My new life demanded focus, efficiency, and careful planning. In the morning, I made my decision. I called the shelter coordinator, offered funding, and volunteered to help organize logistics for the residents. I also explained the situation to Mr. Black, bracing for his reaction. To my surprise, he smiled. "This is exactly why I chose you. Wealth isn't just about money. It's about what you do with it, and how you impact the world. You're proving that your heart is as strong as your mind." That moment cemented something inside me: success is nothing without purpose, and helping others is the most powerful way to change your own life. Little did I know, the final events of this journey would bring unexpected twists that would test my courage, loyalty, and resolve like never before. Just as I started getting comfortable with the idea of running my own business, reality hit hard. One morning, I arrived at the office to find that a major investor pulled out unexpectedly. They cited concerns about inexperience, even though I had been working tirelessly and had shown great results so far. I felt like the ground had been ripped out from under me. Panic set in, doubts crept into my mind, and I wondered if I had been foolish to think I could handle this. But then I remembered everything Mr. Black had taught me: resilience, adaptability, and thinking creatively under pressure. I reached out to other contacts, pitched my ideas relentlessly, and worked late nights to prove that I could handle it. There were moments I thought I'd fail. Moments when my old life, the fear, the insecurity, the struggle to survive, seemed ready to swallow me whole. But I refused to quit. By the end of the week, I had secured new investors who believed in my vision. Not just for the business, but in me as a person. That week taught me a critical lesson: opportunities come with obstacles, and your response defines whether you succeed or fall. Little did I know, the next part of my journey would test my heart, my courage, and the very reason I was fighting for this new life. One morning, Mr. Black invited me to a high-rise office downtown. I expected another test or lecture, but what I saw left me speechless. He introduced me to a group of investors, people who could literally change the course of my life. Then he said, "I want to give you the chance to run your own company. Fully funded, full support, but it's on you to make it work." I could hardly believe it. My life had gone from sleeping on the streets to potentially running my own business in a matter of weeks. My hands were shaking, my heart racing. He added, "This isn't just money. It's a responsibility. You'll face criticism, pressure, and doubt from others and yourself. But I believe you can do it." I left the meeting in a daze, thinking about everything that had happened: the $20, the tests, the crisis with my brother, the moral choices. Somehow, it all led me here. It wasn't just about survival anymore. I had a real shot at creating a life I never imagined possible. Little did I know, the next events would push me to my limits, emotionally, mentally, and physically, and force me to make decisions that would define my future forever. A few days after returning, Mr. Black called me into his office with a serious look. "I have a situation that needs your judgment," he said. "It's not about skills or hard work, it's about character." He explained that one of the startup teams had discovered a shortcut to make huge profits quickly, but it would involve exploiting vulnerable people. The choice was mine: stay silent and benefit, or speak up and risk losing everything. I felt my stomach twist. I had never been in a position like this before. Every instinct screamed that doing the right thing might cost me dearly. But I remembered all the lessons he'd been teaching me: integrity, helping others, and resilience. I made my decision. I reported the scheme immediately and presented an alternative plan that would succeed ethically. Mr. Black's eyes lit up. "That's why you're here. Most people would take the easy way out. You didn't. That shows who you really are." I realized then that success isn't just about money or status, it's about the choices you make when no one is watching. Little did I know, even bigger challenges were on the horizon, ones that would test not just my skills or morality, but my courage in ways I'd never faced before. Just when things were starting to feel stable, I got a call that shook me completely. It was from one of my closest friends back home. My younger brother had gotten into a severe accident and was in critical condition at the hospital. I froze. My heart sank, and I felt paralyzed by the sudden weight of the news. I told Mr. Black what happened. Without hesitation, he handed me a plane ticket and said, "Go. Family comes first. We'll manage everything here until you get back." I flew across the country, not knowing what I would find. The hospital was chaotic, and the doctors said it would be touch and go for the next 48 hours. I spent every second at his bedside, barely sleeping, praying for him to pull through. During that time, I realized how fragile life is and how unpredictable things can get. I also understood something Mr. Black had been showing me all along: opportunity and tragedy can arrive at the same time, and it's your choice how to respond. By sheer luck and determination, my brother survived. When I returned to the program, I carried with me not only relief but a newfound clarity about life, and an even stronger drive to make the most of this opportunity. Just as I started settling into the startup program, life threw me a curveball. One morning, I arrived at the office to find that my laptop, along with several important documents, had disappeared. Panic set in. Without them, my entire first presentation would be ruined, and I could lose this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I frantically searched everywhere, retracing my steps from the previous day. I even questioned whether someone in the building had taken them on purpose. My mind was racing. Mr. Black noticed my distress. He walked in calmly and said, "Sometimes life throws unexpected problems at you. How you respond will determine your future more than the setback itself." With his guidance, I improvised. I reached out to contacts I had made over the past few days, borrowed equipment, and recreated most of the lost work in record time. By the afternoon, I was back on track. That day taught me a critical lesson: resilience isn't just about surviving hardships. It's about adapting, problem-solving, and staying focused under pressure. Little did I know, even bigger surprises were waiting, some that would test my morals, my courage, and the very core of who I was. A week later, Mr. Black called me into a private meeting. This time, it wasn't about challenges or tests. He sat across from me, hands clasped, and said, "I've been watching you. Not just the way you survive, but the way you care for others, the way you handle pressure, and the integrity you've shown. I want to give you a real chance at a fresh start." He slid a folder across the table. Inside were documents for a fully funded business startup program, including mentorship, office space, and an initial investment to kick things off. I couldn't believe it. My hands were shaking. "Me? Why me?" I asked. He smiled. "Because most people only think about themselves. You've survived, helped others, and shown resilience. That's rare." Then he added something unexpected, "But this won't be easy. You'll face challenges, scrutiny, and setbacks. If you quit, all of this goes away. Are you ready?" I nodded, barely able to speak. For the first time in years, I felt hope. Not just hope to survive, but hope to thrive. Little did I know, the journey ahead would be full of sudden twists, unexpected obstacles, and life lessons that would test me in ways I'd never imagined. The next morning, I was walking to the training program when I noticed a commotion near a subway entrance. A man had collapsed, crowd gathering around him, and no one seemed to know what to do. Without thinking, I ran over. I checked his pulse, called emergency services, and tried to keep him conscious. People started helping after I shouted instructions, but it felt like chaos. When the ambulance arrived, the paramedics thanked me for staying calm and helping stabilize the man. I didn't even notice Mr. Black standing at the edge of the crowd, watching silently. Later that day, he approached me. "Not bad for someone who was barely surviving on the streets," he said, a hint of pride in his voice. "You handled yourself under pressure." That's exactly the kind of resilience I was hoping to see. I was stunned. One moment, I thought I was just trying to do the right thing, and the next, it became a key part of proving myself in his eyes. That incident marked a turning point. I realized that life wasn't going to hand me opportunities. I had to step up, take risks, and act when it mattered. Little did I know, Mr. Black had even bigger tests planned, some that would completely change my future in ways I couldn't imagine. A few days into the program, the man, let's just call him Mr. Black, pulled me aside. He said, "I can give you everything: money, opportunities, guidance. But first, I need to see what you're made of." He handed me a small stack of cash and a note: "Use this to help someone else in need today. Don't just hand it over, make it meaningful." At first, I was confused. I'm the one who needed help, not someone else. But then I realized what he was doing. He wasn't just helping me, he was testing my character, my empathy, and my ability to think on my feet. I walked around the streets, approaching people I knew were struggling. A woman trying to feed her baby, a man who had fallen asleep on a park bench, a teenager begging for coins. I gave what I could, talked to them, listened, and tried to make a real difference. When I returned to Mr. Black, he was smiling. "You get it," he said. "Helping others is the best way to help yourself. Remember that." That day, something inside me shifted. I realized this wasn't just about getting off the streets or earning money. It was about changing the way I saw myself and the world around me. And that was just the beginning. The next morning, I woke up to find a bag left by the man, fresh clothes, shoes, a warm jacket, and a note, "Meet me at the cafe on 5th Street at 10 a.m. I have something to show you." Curiosity mixed with fear. I didn't know what to expect. Could this be some kind of scam? But something told me it wasn't. When I arrived, he was already there, sipping coffee like a regular customer. He greeted me with a warm smile and said, "I think you deserve a chance to get back on your feet." Before I could even ask how, he handed me an envelope. Inside were tickets for a week-long job training program, fully paid, plus accommodation and food. I nearly dropped the envelope. I stammered, I can't. I don't have any experience for this." He shook his head, smiling, "Everyone starts somewhere. I just need someone willing to try. That's you." Over the next few days, he continued helping me in unexpected ways. Arranging meals, giving small sums of cash for necessities, and even introducing me to people who could mentor me. It felt surreal. One minute, I was struggling just to survive the day. The next, I was being treated like someone with potential, purpose, and worth. But little did I know, there would be even bigger surprises, and not all of them would be easy to handle. A few days after that first $20, I noticed the same man again. This time, he stopped and actually talked to me. He asked my name and how I was doing, but not in that pitying way most people do. He genuinely seemed interested. I told him a little about my situation, nothing too personal, just the basics: lost my job, no apartment, trying to survive. Then he did something unexpected. He handed me a small notebook and said, "Write down anything you need: food, clothes, even a ride somewhere. I'll see what I can do." At first, I laughed. Who does that? Who actually offers help like that without expecting anything in return? But something in his eyes told me he meant it. I scribbled a few requests: new shoes, some warm clothes, maybe a bag to keep my things in. He promised to come back the next day. And he did. When he returned, he didn't just hand me what I asked for, he asked about my dreams. Not the get-rich-quick kind, but the real ones. What did I want to do if I got a second chance? It was a strange, almost surreal experience. One moment, I was just another homeless man on the street. The next, someone was treating me like a person with potential, someone worth investing in. Little did I know, this was just the beginning of a chain of events that would change my life completely. Hey Reddit. Throwaway account because some people might recognize me. I, 32M, have been living on the streets for about 3 years now. Lost my job, my apartment, and honestly, a lot of hope along the way. Life on the streets is brutal, and every day is a fight just to find food, stay warm, and keep some shred of dignity. I used to have dreams, a small tech job, maybe my own startup someday. But when everything fell apart, I ended up sleeping in alleys, under bridges, and occasionally at shelters that were overcrowded. Most people just walk past you. They see the hoodie, the unshaven face, and automatically label you as lazy or a failure. I've had strangers yell at me for asking for spare change, and I've had others completely ignore me while I begged for a meal. But one day, something happened that would completely change everything. I was sitting near a busy street corner, shivering in a thin jacket, eating a stale sandwich someone had thrown away. That's when I noticed a man in a suit, walking briskly, looking out of place among the crowds. He dropped a $20 in my cup without a word and kept walking. It was a small gesture, but something about it felt different. There was no judgment, no condescension, just kindness. Little did I know, that $20 was the first step in a series of events that would turn my life upside down.